Today I want to talk about the big lie most men are taught, if not all, at some point. And it's this idea that we have no value until we achieve something through a profession. And one profession is definitely judged as more superior to another, if not through the profession, through the man. So do you remember the COVID years? I'm sure you do. It's very recent history. Do you remember the lockdowns? Do you remember the fear people felt? Some people literally fell apart. I saw it within my own with my own group of friends, people that I know, people I'd looked up to for a long time, literally fall apart through fear. Even Hollywood action heroes took to the screen, YouTube channels, hysterical, telling people what they should do, telling them to take medical procedures, whatever it was. They were hysterical and they verbalized it. We saw people in the public eye say the most incredible things. They were insulting, they were belittling, and it was fascinating to me because we tend to look up to people in the public eye, big Hollywood stars, as having a moral superiority due to their position in life. Now, we may deny that, but if you look about the billionaires and millionaires throughout the world, people instantly assume they have a moral higher ground than us because of what they've achieved in a particular area. And I think it's a mistake. And I think it's a mistake that a trap we keep falling into. We should always appreciate and admire and respect someone's achievements, whether that's in business, in sport, whatever it may be. We should always respect what they've achieved, because it takes a lot of damn hard work to get to any level of success in anything. But it doesn't necessarily mean they've got the moral high ground, and that's what we keep falling into. So how do we stop ourselves doing that? I think, to me, this indicates that we have a lack of self-acceptance for ourselves. We have a lack of self-assurance in ourselves. Our values are not strong enough, and so we doubt ourselves very easily. If we can doubt ourselves very easily, we just haven't got a strong enough code of honor, a strong enough code of ethics to withstand that sort of behavior and that sort of action from people in the public eye. I'm not just picking on people in the public eye, it was people all around us at the time. It's not just about the COVID years, it's about anything where people doubt themselves. Even when they know something's not quite right, they doubt themselves. And it's because we haven't got a strong enough set of values in ourselves. We don't know what we stand for fully, because all we ever do is aim in our profession, our dreams and desires, instead of the man we want to be in the world. And that is a mistake, because the man we walk in the world with, the man we're going to be, is more important than any dream or desire, because it's all you're going to be left with at the end of your life. So studying about what courage is, integrity, self-discipline, knowing who you are outside of what you do is a superpower, because it makes you impervious to other people's behavior when they're becoming hysterical and negative and trying to get you to drop down to that kind of hysterical, fear-based behavior. And we can ask, were they real values in the first place? If we can only talk about our values and what we stand for from a position of comfort and security and achievement, and then they fall apart when we feel that safety and comfort is threatened, are they real values? I would say no, they're not. They're just lip service from a position of achievement or comfort and security within your life at that moment. Real values are there all the time, regardless of what happens to you. They should be there as an incorruptible force for you at all times. So I want you to look at the screen and see this here. This kind of like defines where our modern society is at. And this is what we are taught. We have no value until we achieve and attain something. From school onwards, we are taught that our values will come from a profession. And the more we achieve, the more likely we can identify a code of honor, ethics and character that arises from our profession. The problem with this is a fear that is out of our control, and the loss of position means the loss of identity, and therefore loss of honor, ethics, and our own sense of self disappear. A different way would be to establish a code of honour, ethics, and character that gives a man value before any profession, and even quite likely will reveal a man's destiny through knowing what he stands for. This is why young men had traditionally a rite of passage, a tough physical test, a boy becoming a man, his duty to the tribe, knowing what he stood for, who he needs to protect. We haven't got that anymore. So men are just left, especially young men, they're just left with always grasping at proving themselves through grades or some other kind of achievement. So telling young men they have no value unless they get the right grades is not only harmful, it's irresponsible. It doesn't really do society any good. The worst thing, I think, is this mindset. You tend to trade strength for submission. Because if you have no value, you'll submit to anything. If you don't stand for anything, as the saying goes, you'll fall for anything. You submit to anything. So you actually pass over strength by not giving yourself value for what you are now. So I think for men at the moment, my advice is to establish what you stand for. Get rid of your dreams and desires notebook and your affirmations or whatever you're doing about where you're going just temporarily. And focus, do some writing on what you're going to stand for. What sort of man are you going to be? How are you going to make the world a better place? How are you going to walk in the world that's going to impact your entire society? These are better questions. That is your value right there. That's your value. And then from that, I normally find that people discover that profession. I've done this with this work with CEOs. I've done it with young men that have just left school, at school. And often what happens is that some of the CEOs, some of the business owners have been quite interesting because they've gone and started an entirely new business based on deciding what they're going to stand for and what sort of man they are and how they want to impact the world around them. It's very, very interesting. Some guys have said to me, I want the director's chair. That's my goal. That's my goal. They go through the process and then they decide actually they want to spend more time with their children. They want to start their own business on the side rather than having the director's chair of the particular company they currently work at. This is all great stuff, and that's how life-changing it can be. It's no small thing to decide what you're going to stand for. It's huge. It's the main thing, yet it's been taken away, especially for young men, and it's been cast aside in favour of you'll gain respectability by your profession. But as I've said at the start, this doesn't mean you're going to have a moral superiority just because of your profession in life. As we've seen recently and through the COVID years, sometimes it's quite the opposite. So write down what you're going to stand for, who you are, how you're going to impact the world for good. And you'll be surprised at what may come from that. You may find yourself going down a whole completely different path than what you originally thought.